Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be another trans chat video. Like I said, I always enjoy filming these ones and you guys really seem to like them. So I'm trying to keep on top of them and come up with more ideas of things I can share with you guys. So if you haven't checked out my other trans chats videos, they will all be linked up here in the iCards for you guys to check out. Today, I'm going to be talking about hormones. So I mentioned in my last video that I take estrogen and a testosterone blocker, and that is how I developed breasts. For those of you that don't know, hormone replacement therapy is an option for trans individuals, both like female to male and male to female. Alright, so like I mentioned, I take estrogen and a testosterone blocker called spironolactone, and basically the testosterone blocker does that. It blocks testosterone, so it kind of suppresses the body from creating too much testosterone, and then the estrogen is paired with it to help the body produce more estrogen, and well, it gives the body more estrogen, and that helps to feminize the body. So basically that is what I take, and those are the reasons why I take them. I identify as female, so I take the estrogen to, it's kind of like female puberty, where your body kind of goes through the same kind of feminine changes. Basically, I started hormones in 2011 in December. It took a couple weeks before I noticed any changes, but I started to notice that like my breast tissue was kind of tender, and my kind of nipples kind of became puffy and sore. So that's kind of like the beginning of breast growth. It's all kind of different for everybody. It depends on your body. And of course, not every trans person is going to opt for hormone replacement therapy. This is just my experience. So yeah, basically I started to notice some breast development around like 2 months in. And then I started to notice that my skin was becoming softer. And basically the hormones, like the estrogen, creates a thin layer of fat underneath the skin, which males don't have, but females have it. So that's why the skin becomes more soft and like tender looking, and that's also kind of what produces cellulite. So I definitely have some cellulite now, and I noticed that my kind of face became more plump, and kind of like my jaw is more rounded. Basically just kind of typical female puberty, you know. It's like you get kind of curvy. I definitely noticed that my hips started to pack on more weight than they had before, and I started to develop breast tissue, and my skin became softer. It started to take longer for some of my body hair to grow, and I definitely noticed like a decrease in some of my body hair as well. Like I mentioned in my breast video, you have to wait like a year before you can get breast augmentation, because they want to see how much breast development you actually will develop naturally. So I definitely noticed some breast growth around like 2 months in, but I mean, I didn't really need to start wearing a bra until about maybe like 6 or 7 months into hormones. But I did notice a lot of like little minor changes that you don't really notice because you're kind of just looking in the mirror every day waiting for something to happen. But like looking back at pictures, I definitely noticed that my face was becoming more typically female. It was like becoming more feminine, and my skin was becoming softer, and my skin looked more plump and round, if that makes any sense. So then also I noticed that like your sex drive, well I never really had a sex drive, but like it was pretty much completely gone once I started hormones, which is kind of awkward, but that's just what happened. So basically I kind of want to talk about how I got hormones, because I started transitioning at like 17, and then I didn't get hormones until I was like 21. Basically I was trying to go through my family doctor, but he didn't feel comfortable prescribing me hormones because he wasn't exactly sure how to moderate them and what kind of dosage to give me. So I was on a waiting list for this place called CAMH, which is the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So I was on their waiting list for a long time. Finally I got in, and they had a very extensive process. Basically I had to go in every like 3 to 6 months for a therapy session with a different therapist every single time, talk about like when I started to notice I was trans and like my transition and everything, and like my goals of where I want to be in my transition, And basically they required you to be living full-time as a female, which I had been doing by this point, but they wanted like actual documentation, which I didn't have because I was just presenting female like in front of my family and everything. So I basically had to wait until I was at my current job for a year and had to get a letter from my employer saying that I present as female and I work X amount of hours a week. I've been there for a year. I identify as Haley while I'm at work. So basically it was like a whole to-do. And while I was waiting for all this to happen, they also had a lot of concerns because I was previously like dealing with mental health issues. I was very suicidal when I was a teenager, and they were worried about that, even though I had made it very clear that like my mental health issues had been completely under control for like 5 years now. That was still a really big concern for them. So while I was waiting for CAMH to, you know, give me the runaround, I applied for an endocrinologist in my kind of area to see me. He was like the only person around me that I could find that really dealt with trans patients. So finally I got in to see him, and it was just a matter of weeks before he put me on hormones. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. I just needed to get some blood tests done, and then he put me on hormones. So I did continue to go to CAMH just for kind of counseling because I felt that I kind of needed the therapy, and I also wanted to continue with them to get approval for surgery so I could get surgery covered through our Ontario health insurance plan. So I continued going to CAMH for a couple of months, and then I just kind of stopped because I just really didn't feel like it was necessary. So now I go to a place in St. Catharines called Quest Community Center, and they specifically deal with trans patients, and my doctor's trans, and it's amazing. I never have any problems anymore, so thank God for that. And she monitors my hormones and everything and makes sure that my dosages are okay, etc. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've been on hormones for like almost 8 years now. I wanted to kind of make a video dedicated to my voice, but I can't really find any voice clips of me before I transitioned. So I may as well just include this here. A lot of people ask if your voice is affected by hormones, and the answer is no. If you were born or assigned female at birth and you now identify as male and you take testosterone, then yes, it definitely can, like, it'll lower your voice, similar to male puberty, but estrogen does not have the opposite effect. This is kind of just what my voice has been like always. I think I've kind of learned to talk a bit more typically feminine, but this is just kind of how I talk in my like day-to-day life, and I always kind of had a high-pitched voice, but I mean, I get really confused because a lot of people tell me that my voice is high, and a lot of people tell me that my voice is deep but feminine, so I don't really know. But I mean, I don't really have any dysphoria about my voice anymore. I just kind of deal with it. There's nothing I can do about it. Like I could do like vocal cord surgery or something like that, which is extreme. I could do vocal coaching, but I mean, I just don't see a point for myself personally. But of course, those are definitely options if you are a trans person, or if you're just wanting to increase the octave of your voice. Those are options. They're just not anything that I opted for. So I would really tried to like scrounge through Facebook and my family's Facebooks, etc., to try and find video clips of me talking, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm not going to be doing a voice dedicated video unless I can find that. So I figured I would include it in this one, since hormones don't really have any effect on your voice if you are male to female transgender. Comment down below and let me know if there's anything that you would like to know specifically about the effects of hormones, and I will try my best to answer those questions. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button down there before you leave, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.